Hello, everyone, and welcome to day number 2 of the 2023 Open at Tallahassee, sponsored by Visit Tallahassee. Tom Brown Disc Golf Course and Disc Golf Park is where we'll be. We've got Matty O along with Kaleb Skinner. Joining the card is also Mark Chapalonis. And rounding us out is another youngster, Aidan Scott, and I'm joined by a youngster in his own right, Silas Schultz, back on the mic. Everybody was clamoring for it. They said, we need more Silas. So here you are. Thanks for joining, buddy.
Thank you for having me, and thank you to everyone for the kind words. I'm excited.
No surprise. You got a glowing response. So we're going to get right into the action here on hole 1. Break it down for us.
We got a scary hole 1. Just if it's windy, we have a lot of out of bounds. You're going to throw either a low sidearm or some sort of mid-range that's going to sit soft. We got a fast green to work with and a lot of OB. So just get the nerves out and try to put one close.
Matty O going to line up a forehand just as we saw him do in round 1. And similar result, right? Just a bit short.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. I think I just flared a little early, but... And this is Kaleb. I'm not super familiar with his game, but everything that I've seen him do is very smooth. That forehand included.
Yeah, and as they said, it sounded like some kid was being murdered in the back. Very safe place to be. Let's be very clear here, but managed to maintain. And here's Mark. This looks like he's just letting this out early, maybe right out of his hand.
Yeah, and that's the danger is you have the crosswind, you're throwing a backhand. If you don't commit to it, the wind really wants to push it left. This looks committed, but I think it's still kind of getting away from him. Yeah, and just OB long.
Just by a few feet. So as we said, some youngsters. Kaleb, just 16 years old. Aidan, 17 years old.
Man, good for them. Getting on a lead card at a big A tier at that age. Probably experiencing some nerves with Matty O and Marky from the vlogs. You know what I'm saying? These are some cool guys they're playing with. So I'm excited to see how they respond in the rounds that they put up today.
Little tentative here for Kaleb. I talked to Aidan, and he was telling me that you may see a little bit of influence of the likes of a Will Schusterich and or possibly an Eagle McMahon, a couple of the guys he's looked up to in the last few years. Said he joined Team Prodigy in the beginning of last year and currently rated 1,018 and said that he's never shot above his rating on camera, and he's hoping to change that today. So he's been on some NADGT coverage, a little bit of Central Coast, a little bit here and there of some various channels, but he's hoping to make some corrections today.
Yeah, I'm excited to see his game, and I think a couple of cage hits on hole 1 is not to be expected, but that's definitely a common miss. It's a scary green to putt at, especially given an aggressive bid. Hole 2, very fun hole. You're going to be throwing a similar distance into sort of a guarded green. Backhand is usually the play. I've seen people shape forehands. I played with Sullivan Timpton today, and he put it in the bullseye with the forehand. So different ways to attack it, but really just want to get it close and miss those last guardian trees. A lot of distance control here and hitting your gap.
And that's low out of the hand for Orum. It's going to come up short. He'll have work to do to try and make a birdie.
He laid up his putt on hole 1, and not a great drive here. He started slow yesterday and still pulled a good round together, so I'm sure he would like to start a little bit better. So hoping to see a correction. Kaleb with a similar shot. I think from the tee, the basket looks maybe 30 feet closer. There's kind of a hill where it drops off. So I think like Kaleb's shot feels fine, looks fine. You get up there and you're a little bit shorter than you would think.
Aidan trying to bounce back after the bogey start.
That looks very nice. Perfect. And even goes long. I feel like that's not a shot or a miss that you see on this hole a lot, but very committed line.
I believe that's even a putter that he had thrown, so
Yeah, great height, great speed. I love it.
see some left to right wind.
He was definitely given that a bid, but just didn't quite get it there. That's a long putt. You got to throw that thing hard to get it there.
And you'll see the yellow tassels, if we didn't talk about them specifically yesterday, the yellow tassels or whiskers, whatever you want to call them out there, that is your 10-meter circle. So that's approximately 33 feet for our players. And then the white ones, I believe, are just sitting at that 10-foot mark.
Yeah, bullseye. And a great birdie for Markey. Just a clean drive, gets through the left side, makes the putt, capitalizes. You love to see it. And a good hit. That's a good hit. He's nervous. He wants to shoot above his rating on camera. I think he bogeyed the last hole, but man, good drive, good committed putt. It's a good feeling.
Yeah, you don't sense any any hesitation or holding back whatsoever on a putt like that. Just very confident stroke. That didn't just trickle in or just barely catch some chains. That was dead center on the pole.
And that's another good just feeler putt. You got to get it out the basket. But yeah, just good hit, no harm, get your par. Little confidence boost moving into hole 3.
Yeah, Kaleb comes into the tournament with a 992 rating. He's right here out of Live Oak, Florida, so not too far from here.
Okay, so he might have a little local love going for him, and it's definitely something you can use on this hole because we're working with a tiny gap. I don't know, fair, but small. And so you can use some local love on the left side or the right side, either side, just getting through if you happen to miss the gap. Good kicks do happen, but bad kicks also happen. So you just got to hope the course is on your side here if you don't hit the gap.
Yeah, we kind of saw 0 for 4 yesterday in terms of people hitting the gap, and this is exactly what we saw yesterday. I think we saw 2 or 3 of the shots landed on that right side. You know, it's 245. It's the shortest hole on the entire course for the weekend, but it probably plays 280.
Yeah, I think
maybe
so.
Slightly
uphill. A little
uphill,
and then finishes a little bit higher too. So, yeah, for sure plays a little bit longer. And I've seen some people who just don't play a gap, just throw it at one of the walls of trees and try to get through. But yeah, trees are not letting a lot slip through. And I think we're working with a little bit more wind. You see Markey's shot got turned over a little bit. Like an understable hyzer flip is definitely a common play. But yeah, none of these guys able to hit the gap very cleanly.
Yeah, at this point, I'm going to say we're 0 for 8 in terms of the 8 drives we've seen on this hole in rounds 1 and 2. So maybe come round 3, somebody will have it figured out. Everybody does have somewhat of a look, though. And that's just going to concede and say, I'm just going to pitch up and walk away with a par.
He's young, but he's smart. I mean, let's not get too squirrely. Just take your par if you don't think you're going to make it. And that's a good bid. That was a tight putt. He almost got it.
Didn't hit the tree.
Orum also has a line through here. That's the thing, is these trees are scattered just enough.
Oh, wow. And he starts 0 for 3 again. I mean, assuming that he makes that little comebacker, I think he should. And I think we mentioned it last round. You kind of like 3 for 3 is a dream start. 2 for 3, you're feeling good. And 1 for 3 feels like the minimum. And I think...
All right. Well, with that, I quit. I'm going to go find a different card to film.
Yeah.
These guys aren't doing it for me. Come on. Yeah, you're right. This feels very slow, just like it was yesterday during our first round on these first 3 holes.
Hopefully we get some redemption, just like we got yesterday with Matteo birdieing hole 4, which is maybe a bonus birdie for most, but it's definitely gettable and a good one to get. Feels good. You're going to have this nice water carry, and then you have kind of a tighter green. So in the wind, it's all about angle control, distance control, getting it close to give yourself a putt. And looks like wind's playing a factor here. A big flex shot with, I think, a Halo Destroyer from Markey, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's going to be a long bid.
Yeah, you always have to think, well, A, clear the water, and then B, if you get it close, hopefully you'll have a good putt at it. But clearing the water, which shouldn't be a problem for any of these competitors, but we saw what Charlie did yesterday.
Right.
Kind of just got the nose up, it stalled out, and next thing you know, the water came into play when really it shouldn't have.
And that line is not the water line. It's definitely a couple feet off of it, so things can get a little dicey, but that's a pretty Anheuser. Spotter's so unfazed. I thought it was just like gonna hit him, but yeah, he's gonna have a putt. That's a pretty ideal drive. And this is a pretty flex shot from Kaleb.
Yeah, we've seen so many turnovers just kind of ride hard and finish right. This one actually had the space in the air to come back out of it, and he's no more than 15 or 18 feet from the pin.
And that's a lot of angle control there. He got the nose down, started pushing, trusted the disc to come back, and I think he might just be bullseye.
Be an easy tap in there, stress-free for Aidan.
One of the things I like about this green is we have just enough trees that you might get yourself in a spot where you can run a long putt with a backboard.
So this is what Orum is left with. As you said, 0 for 3 start yesterday. Hits the huge one from downtown. Today trying to get his first birdie of the round here again.
There you go. That's a weird start for Matt. He did it twice. It feels weird to me, but 1 down through 4, nothing horrible.
If you're gonna miss some of the easier ones, pick up the bonus, as you said. And here is the drive, and you called it pretty much almost right on the bullseye. 465, no problem for
On a
Kaleb.
dime. That's textbook. I mean, just a nice flex shot, hyzer flip, however you want it, but so good.
A little bit of a lengthy walk as we head over to hole number 5. Grab yourself some double G jerky.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite holes, just because it's such a fun drive. When thrown right, when thrown well, it feels so good to get a birdie and get it all the way down there. So you're going to be throwing downhill into sort of a tunnel, and then you're going to miss a few guardian trees into kind of a guarded green. There's actually OB long. The main thing here is getting the nose down. It's easy to float it high. Matteo doing that well. You're going to have a lot of ground play. So nothing wrong with hitting early and skipping to, I mean, that's might be inside the circle. So that's a great play. But important to get the nose down, because nose up, it wants to go right or left, and you can get in some tricky spots.
Wow, we saw a really good redirect yesterday, and it looks like we're going to see one here today. He'll take that.
I like this hyzer flip. I didn't quite flip enough, but that's another thing, kids. Whenever you're throwing downhill like this, what I find happens is your disc is picking up speed just because it's throwing nose down and going down a hill. So they want to turn a little bit more. So it's a little trickier to get this. And man, talk about a reaction. Perfect ground play.
And the crowd's reaction is matching it. That is awesome. Couple of skips, an anti-skip, a little bit of a roll, and you can have a look for birdie from short range. Similar distance is where we'll find Mark. So both looking at a pair of pars. You know, like you said, it's great to hit this shot, and it feels good, and it looks good. I don't feel like you're mad, though, when you walk away with a 3 necessarily.
Right, especially with those, like, you can't really give it a bid. That's a great putt by Matt. But, like, the green is so guarded that, like, you don't want to get too aggressive and pull it, hit a tree, and then have to make a long putt for par. So if you don't get down there, it's kind of no worries. But if you do have the opportunity for birdie, you definitely want to capitalize, just like Aidan and Matt there.
As he even said, picking up a little bit of a bonus there. This came in as the 5th most difficult hole relative to par, average .29. So that's got to feel really good.
Yeah, for sure. And where's this one on the difficulty scale?
Yeah, when you're heading over at 6, it's the 4th most difficult. So 5 and 6 back to back play as 2 of the hardest 5 holes on the course, as we're heading kind of the opposite direction. In fact, they kind of parallel one another, and they're almost on a mirror reverse of one another as well. Instead of down into the left, this one kind of goes up into the right.
And just a scary tee shot. Just don't hit a tree. That's kind of the main goal. Get far, don't hit a tree, and see what you can work with. Top of the hill is ideal. And that might be just far enough that he can go for the green if he wants to.
Yeah, you're not mad with that result whatsoever. It pulled a little bit to the right on the inside, but you're not mad with that result.
And what a committed line.
Yeah, and so much to the fact where we see Aidan's within maybe 10 feet or so of where Orum just landed. So very similar results there.
You love to see that hit. That's just driven right down the gap that you're looking for, kind of up this right side. And nothing wrong with that. I feel like that's a play you see a lot. If you're going for an Anheuser, you don't quite turn it enough. You miss those 3 trees, and then you get up kind of in the middle by that larger tree.
Yeah, you're not mad at all with the result like you just saw from Kaleb.
And all very, very acceptable drives for sure. And one of the things I love about this hole is, like, if Marky doesn't want to go for the green here, he can still get a birdie by throwing a good upshot to the rocks and making a putt. I don't think that was his plan, but I think that's what he's gonna have. So.
Yeah, so that actually, as you saw, he was committed to it, but ended up releasing it too low and kind of got the advantage of being short of the rocks, just as you called, just like we see actually there from Kaleb. So he'll still have a long putt to possibly cash in a birdie. The throw was just bad enough that it was good.
Yep, good for a bad shot. Oh my goodness, and almost an eagle. That would be so sick. I love the aggressive play though, because of the island green, like if you're OB long, you just take it and it's a 20-footer for par, and you're giving yourself a little bit easier opportunity for birdie. And that was also so close to going in. But that's almost what you do. You give it a run, you finish long, you make that comeback, or you get a birdie, and you feel great about yourself after. And Kaleb hasn't been giving himself great looks, and I feel like he just hasn't found that pop on his spin putt just yet. But hopefully he'll have a couple of circle's edge inside the circle putts to get that rhythm going. And Marky just taking a par. There's nothing wrong with that on this hole. This is, like we said, playing like the 4th hardest hole. Birdie here feels great. Par is definitely okay.
Yeah, and Mark comes into the event with 1,000 rating. Matty O, if I didn't mention it, was 1040 at the beginning of the tournament.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. I feel like we've been very blessed by seeing almost exclusively birdies and pars here on this hole.
Yeah.
For being one of the most difficult holes and then watching it get played now in 8 opportunities, we've seen nothing but birdies and pars over the 2 rounds. So these guys are making it look much easier than it played really for the rest of the field.
For sure. Guys, you hit an early tree and kick left. Yeah. Have fun on this one.
Yeah, you're
but I think
in a world of hurt.
I think we're seeing good scores just because we're seeing clean drives. And once you get a clean drive down there, it's a lot easier. And this is one of the holes that I think of first whenever I think of Tom Brown, and is this huge par 5. Get your drive in play before this OB creek, and then you're going to be throwing your second shot just as far as you can, trying not to get pinched off on the left side, and then you get, put into this kind of secluded green.
And we saw this yesterday, the low nose down. It looks like he's almost throwing it straight into the woods on the right side, but by the time it picks up speed and then ultimately fades off and hyzers off, it is in a really good position. As they kind of pan back up toward that top area where we'll see everyone attempt their second shots. Same thing right there, flirting with the
Yeah.
trees. Just when you think like it's going to grab or, a branch is going to grab it and knock it straight down or pull it in, it just somehow misses them all and then just keeps going. And this is the first time we're seeing somebody not go with the hyzer off the tee.
This has to be just like a neutral to slightly overstable mid-range, maybe? And a good checkup there, yeah.
Sigh of relief.
So, yeah, we have both right and left and long OB. So, this shot, not crazy hard, but you got to get it in bounds just so that you can have an opportunity for birdie. Because this is not the craziest, hardest par 4 or par 5 in the world. But you definitely got to get in play off the tee, which can be scary with all the elevation you're working with. I love this.
Yeah, exactly. And this is pushing out to the center. And that's going to give him a longer look to the pin, but it's going to give him so much more angle and so many more options as we pan over and see it. And that was what we were both kind of screaming in the mics yesterday is quit throwing right. And you're seeing so far back-to-back shots out in the center. I love that placement.
Yeah. And I feel like I'm not super familiar with Kaleb's game, but what I'm seeing is a lot of maturity, just some laid up putts, the discipline to not go forward on the last hole, and then playing that drive and sacrificing a little distance for a better angle. Like, I love to see that from a 16-year-old kid. That's very smart stuff, and that's going to just help him grow in the future and be a great player.
Snappy, James Cole, was telling me that Aidan is one of his students, and that
okay.
we're excited. He said he's been watching him play since essentially he was 13. He's now 17, and I feel like if you've got a mentor or someone that can help you out in your neighborhood, and it's Snappy Cole, then you're in good company for sure.
And even somebody, not even just to give you tips, just to beat you all the time. You see, like the prodigies that have come from Colorado, just getting beat by Joe Revere all the time. And then, now we have Eagle McMahon, Joel Freeman, Tristan Tanner, just legends from there. Just because if you want to win in Colorado, you have to average 1040. You know what I mean? So it's great to
get past the old guard.
Yeah, exactly. It's just great to have veterans like that pushing you and helping you just improve your game. And a very technical upshot from Markey. Doesn't quite get all the way in there, but he'll definitely have a look.
Now you see him on that left side, and that's also where we're seeing Aidan right now. And again, I'm excited to see what they do in round 3, but if you're pinched off on this left side, you can still get up there like we're seeing from a few of these shots, but coming in from the open area on that high right side is just so much more advantageous.
And Markey has such a smooth push putt, very high to low, and I feel like you guys have seen him work wonders on Simon Lazat's channel. I have, and it's just such a smooth putt. That putt, though, gets a little bit exposed whenever you add a lot of wind into the equation, and so I think we're just seeing that a little bit here. Ooh, I love that committed putt from Kaleb, but hopefully Markey can kind of just figure it out and start getting these a little higher.
Hole 7 averaging just barely under the par 5 that it is, 4.97. And that's actually the 4th birdie in a row that we're seeing there from Matty O. He misses the 3 easier holes to get started and then brings up 4 of them, 2 of them being some of the more difficult holes on the course. And now we head over to hole 8. Doesn't get any easier here.
No. This is a hole that, like I said last time, you can't cheat it. You got to hit the gap, and then you got to throw something that turns into this second gap and lands on that green. So if you're able to do this on the drive, hole becomes a lot easier. But things get scary whenever you don't hit that gap right down the middle, just like Matt did.
Yeah, essentially, whatever you did back on hole number 5, if you can duplicate that shot here on 8, you're going to have a similar result. You're trying to hit this gap, and that is on the right side. But what a favorable kick. I mean,
Yeah.
just to stop, essentially. That could carry 30 or 40 or 50 feet offline left or right, even find an OB, and it basically drops straight down, still giving him a look at the tunnel, and that's huge.
And that's going to get the left side kick. Backhands love the left side kick on this hole. If you go early with it and you can find out of bounds, looks like he's green. That's good. There you go. And that is ideal. He's going to be up the fairway. He has an option of backhand, forehand into the green. That's pretty prime time right there.
I can't think of, honestly, a much better shot that you could throw off the tee there. We'll see exactly where he lands in a moment when we get to him. But once I got there, I was like, this is a near perfect drive. He made it look pretty easy. And look at this tiny gap. And he just absolutely peers the gap. Not enough distance to get all the way up there for a look at birdie, but the fact that he made that much progress is incredible. And now we're going to have another shoot-a-bait. Okay, we're not. But he is safe.
Okay.
And he did call over at least one or two card mates and said, hey, I'm safe, but you guys, if you want to double check, please do. Always a good call. Make sure you call someone over so that they can confirm you're in bounds. And so he is short side, and you can see what he has to work with.
Oh, and this is another great out.
Textbook. Just perfect.
I don't think him or Kaleb had very easy forehand shots or like large gaps to throw those sidearms through, and they both just got into far enough up the fairway where they should be able to get an easy up and down.
And Orum's going to be inside the circle. And now we're finally getting to marks here. This gives him the option of backhand or forehand.
And that trickles down the hill. That's the tricky thing about if you don't hit it perfectly, it's kind of a 50-50 if it penetrates, and if it doesn't, they like to kick back into that ditch, which is very difficult to make the putt from.
So going deep on his third, so you'll have some work to come back and try and save the par. And really all you could ask for from, in terms of recovery shots, perfect back-to-back shots. Yeah, and to walk away with a par here after that drive, like that hurts inside just a little bit. It hurts me, and I'm just out there with a camera.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about this hole is you kind of have to do what Matt did. You have to throw a clean drive off the tee, and then you have to hit the gap on the second. You can't really get away with one good shot. You got to have two. And that's such a good hit because what you guys don't see is he's looking at just a slope into a huge ditch. And an air ball there, if that thought enters your mind, like, ooh, this air ball would be like a horrible comebacker. That gets really scary. So great to see him make that, and that just falls in. You love to see that.
We're going to see that in a replay in a moment. We need to brand that with some kind of special branding. You got any ideas for that one?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. This is so on the spot. The first thing that I thought was a 50-50 grind. But man, just wow, it was like rotating on a nub, and it looked like most of the disc was like on the wrong side. So love to see that spin in.
All right. We head over to hole 9 as we're starting to close out the front here. Just 295 downhill. You like the backhand or the forehand here? I know they're both tough.
I'm so bad at this hole. I think I try forehand. I went short yesterday, long today. You just got to get it low. I think this is another one with the slope. If you get it nose up, they just want to carry. I like this kind of flex shot and then hope for good ground play, and he doesn't get it. So the thing about it, though, he has a super fun 70-footer. So maybe not what you're looking for, but this hole does leave some fun putts with the elevation.
And that gets caught up on that short right side. It looked light out of his hand or coming out early out of his hand, and now we're going to see the backhand. We saw McCrae with the backhand yesterday, and this looks a little tighter than that, and it is. Comes in tight, hits that short right side so it doesn't penetrate all the way down. And now another forehand, and this looks all too much like Kaleb's. Pretty similar result.
Oh no, so he finds himself in a place where the hole's too short, like pitch out doesn't really feel like an option. He's got to get it close, and almost does. I think around that tree it's probably parked, but he's going to have probably a circle 2 look for par.
Kaleb had options. He was thinking about going to the right, ends up taking this lane on the left, and ultimately it looks like it's going to be a par coming up.
So yeah, isn't this a super fun 70-footer?
Yeah, we saw this yesterday. Casey made one not quite as far as this, but very similar spot, maybe just a little bit closer.
And downhill, looks like maybe has a headwind. No, just couldn't do it.
Well, and a moment after that, he says, oh man, I should have just waited one more second for the wind.
Yeah.
So what a way to end a 5-hole birdie streak, right, on a little 295-foot downhiller. And as you said, a fun putt, but doesn't connect with anything.
It's fun until it doesn't hit anything and it starts rolling. Then it gets really not fun, but
not so much. Well, Mark's going to have a similar luck.
Oh.
Just not a hole that you're thinking, I might bogey. If I bogey out here,
right.
You're not thinking hole 9 is where you're going to take a bogey.
No, but I feel like it probably doesn't play as under par as you would assume, just from looking at the specs of it.
Played about the 5th or 6th easiest hole out here today, so 2.83.
Yeah, but I feel like you can almost think like this would be like got to be the number 1. It's just a sidearm. You get sneaky, like it just filters, to the basket. But I guess there's not a lot of danger for bogey unless you do something like what Mark did. But yeah, just a little tougher than it looks.
Well, guys, we're gonna close it out on the front 9. Like, share, subscribe, do all the YouTube things. I didn't ask any silly questions, so tell us maybe what you'd call that slow-mo action that we saw back on 8. And yes, we're taking note. Somebody's on fire. Silas here, 5 under through the front 9. He's making a charge. Silas, we'll see you in the back 9.
Yeah, I'm excited. Let's do it.